Hey guys, welcome back! We've returned to Castletown, and there is still so much work to do here. Obviously, we've made great progress with Lower Town, but even down here, there is still a lot of empty space for us to fill. And today, we are going to make a significant dent in all this empty space, because today I want to build two major things. The first thing I want to do is I want to build this cafe that we've marked out right here, and then I also want to build the market that is going to fill this whole area. And since I want to use a similar style for both areas, I think it only makes sense to start off with this smaller cafe to make sure the style is working for us before we commit to doing the entire market. So let's get this cafe going! And just like that, Tom's tea room is open and ready to serve drinks to all the locals, and I think I really like this style. It's mostly just the birch fences and warped slab roof that's going to be staying consistent through this and the market, but I like it. It feels kind of like one of those semi-permanent markets you see sometimes, not like gazebos that are put up for a morning and then taken down again, but something a bit more substantial. Maybe like a big Christmas market that's meant to stick around without being a full-on building, or at least something like that. But we'll see if that vibe stays the same when we tackle the full market in a moment, but for now, let's have a quick look at the tea room itself. And my main idea was pretty much just an open-air cafe like you sometimes see in town squares, and I think this does a pretty good job of having the same atmosphere. One of my favourite bits of this build is actually the little warped trapdoor backdrop, which I actually mostly put there to give the customers a bit of privacy from the stairs, and more importantly what's going to be under them, but it turns out I also just really like the way they look, so that definitely worked out in my favour. Plus we've got our food related paintings, our display brews to entice people inside, and of course plenty of seating for people who want to sit in and take a bit of a break, so all in all I think this makes for a pretty serviceable tea room. So with that all sorted and the style decided, let's get cracking on the actual market. Now that has certainly filled this space out nicely. I feel like this view right here is really starting to come together and feel like an actual street. Obviously we're missing some stuff towards the back with the other houses and farm shop, but everything else feels much more alive, which is very exciting. We've managed to get 10 different market stalls in here, and I am really happy with how they all came out. I definitely have my favourites, as is always the way, but I don't think there's any of them that I'm not happy with. I feel like they all have their own flavour and serve a unique purpose, so that is fantastic. But let's take a quick tour through our various stalls. We have Daisy May's Flower Shop for all your gardening needs, and yes, I named it after the turnip seller in Animal Crossing. I played that game far too much when it came out, so it seemed only right. Then we have Sweeter's Pie, the local bakery which specialises in all manner of sweet treats, and I imagine a lot of people buy a cookie from here and then get a drink over the road and have a sit down, which feels like a lovely symbiotic relationship. Next up is Leslie's Used Books Emporium. If you're looking for a new book to read or looking for a gift for a friend, Leslie has only the finest books and is always ready to give a recommendation, so make sure you pop by. You can even flip through some of the books in these lecterns if you're looking for the current top picks. But perhaps you're interested in finding a new record. Amelia's Audio should always be your first stop, and as long as you're a serious customer, you can even pop a disc into the jukebox and have a listen before you commit to purchasing. Next along is Jerry's Fresh Fish, and he is not kidding. These are the freshest fish you could possibly get. They're still alive. Is it impractical? You bet it is, but it has the added benefit of not stinking up the whole market, which I imagine both the customers and the vendors are endlessly grateful for. But maybe you're looking for some food that you can eat straight away. Well, if cake isn't what you're after, then you probably want David's Barbecue, where the meat is always cooked to perfection and the delicious smells are sure to draw you in from anywhere in the market. Then across the way we have the Ample Armory. If you're heading out on an adventure or just want a bit of added protection in your life, make sure you stop by and get kitted out. And if you're feeling fancy and have a bit of extra money on hand, you can even shell out for one of the beautiful trimmed sets. And if you're getting some armour, you may also want to stop in at Brian's Blacksmith. If you're looking for a new sword to slay some foes, or just looking for an axe to chop up some firewood, Brian always has the sharpest blades in town. Or maybe you just want some nice comfy clothes to walk around town in. In that case, needle and thread may be more your speed, and if they don't have the colour you're looking for, just ask and they'll get your custom order ready within the week at no extra charge. And finally, when you're done with all your shopping or just need a drink at the end of a very long day, Pippa's Potions is sure to have something to perk you right up. But you'll want to make sure you get there early, or you may find yourself sat on one of the barrels nearby instead of an actual seat. And that's our market. Like I said, I am very happy with how this came out. It is a little bit of a shame to hide the terraced houses, but I also kind of love the way that you can still see them behind, just with a bit more of a disrupted view. And the warped roof definitely adds a pop of colour to the area without being too vibrant, which I think it really needed. I am considering possibly adding villagers at some point to work on the various stalls, but I haven't quite decided if I'm going to. Villagers are a pain, but they can add a lot of life to a project like this, but I also don't need villagers to trade with, so it would ultimately just be adding extra lag without getting the full benefit, so I'll need to think on that some more. But one thing I don't need to consider any further is what we need to do next, and I think what we really need now is these houses back here. The tea room is currently looking quite lonely over here with only the clock tower for company, so I think building these houses is going to be our next goal. But that is going to have to wait until next episode, because I think we've achieved more than enough for one day. So until then, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!